Kindred Spirits. I'm your host, Kristi Brower, and you're listening live to Marvelous Mondays here on 12radio.com. As usual, I'm excited to be here with you and have so much to share. I would really appreciate it if you're available, if you would join me in the chat room. You can do that by going to 12radio.com and clicking on the chat button, and that, of course, brings you right into our Facebook group. Most of you are already there, but if you're not, simply ask to join, and my producer, Scott, will let you in. You will find my chat room as the pinned post at the top of the page. You'll see my banner that says, you're Kristi Brower, Kindred Spirits, comment below, and that is my chat room. I will be taking questions and comments and requests for readings later on in the show. I love to interact with you, and so I really appreciate it if you're available to come into the chat room and talk to me. Tell me a little bit about how you're doing. Tell me what you think about my topic today, or ask questions, or share your own experiences. Anything like that would be awesome. So I'm looking forward to sharing so many things with you today. Let's see where to even begin. I have had a pretty monumental week since the last time we spoke, and that is putting it lightly. You know that I have been working on some publishing projects that are getting coming to the end of the actual creative part, and that has been crazy. I would say that I'm suffering from eye strain and exhaustion from completing some really big projects, and my own deck, Kindred Spirits, I'm going to share a card with you today from it, but it will be I'm going to talk about it on my show next week, and it will be available by then. I'm really close on it, but you guys know, if you've been listening to Katie and I, that we have a collaborative process called Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move that we have also completed and is now published. The cards are available. The book is available. It's out there. And so a couple of projects that, have taken a decade almost for both of them to complete are done and together at the same time in the same month. That's kind of amazing. I knew 2018 was going to be a lot more productive month for me, or year for me, than 2017. I've been feeling that for a while, that 2017 was kind of a recuperative year, and this is a completely different experience this year. I have hit the ground running in a big way, and I'm really excited about it. I have a lot to share with you. So I want to share first a little bit from my article in the Power Peak. So if you're not familiar with the Power Peak, it is Mark Husson's newsletter that comes out every Saturday night, and I write Kristi's Quill. And generally what I write is then what I use to as a framework for my show. So it's kind of what I'm thinking about, what I have going on throughout the week, kind of the energy of things. And so let me tell you about this. I was an empath as a kid, and I didn't have a clue what that meant. I grew up in a very conservative religion in a very small town, in a place where people didn't know about things like that. No one talked about what that meant or what that was. And so I experienced it all the time, but I wasn't actually aware of what it meant. But it affected me in a lot of ways as a kid. When I was in the 3rd grade, I had a lot of trouble learning the multiplication tables. This was kind of the first time I'd ever had any trouble with anything at school. I generally was a good student. I picked things up quickly. I didn't have any behavioral problems. I was doing well in school. But 3rd grade rolled around, and I was having so much trouble with learning my multiplication tables that the teacher called my parents and said, we need you to work with her at home. We're not sure what's going on. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. And I didn't understand this then, but I do now. There were 2 3rd grades in my elementary. It was a small elementary school. But the 2 3rd grade teachers would combine the classes for various subjects and work together. Like my 3rd grade teacher taught English, the other 3rd grade teacher taught math. Well, in that classroom with that 3rd grade teacher, I was miserable. I was uncomfortable. I was anxious. I was unsettled. I could not focus when he was teaching us. His name was Mr. Davis, and he was a beloved teacher. He was one of those teachers that all the kids, liked to hang out in his classroom at lunch, and, everyone called him Mr. D. He had a nickname. But I didn't like Mr. D. Mr. D made me feel uncomfortable. I didn't go hang out in his classroom, and I didn't ever I did not connect with him, and I just could not learn from him. My parents worked with me a lot at home, and I did learn my multiplication tables, but I didn't learn them from him. I just couldn't do it, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why for many years, why I felt that way. I understand it now and look back on it and wish I had known then what I know now. What I know now is that his daughter was also in my class. And what I didn't know at the time is that he was molesting her. In high school, she actually had a child by him, which I know is a horrible story, and I don't really want to get into the whole thing. But what I do want to say is that I was in a classroom with the two of them, and with this unbelievable undercurrent going on, and I was responding to it so much and so unsettled and anxious and, just irritated by the whole situation that I couldn't learn in that class. Now, I have spent the majority of my adult life learning about what it means to be an empath and how to use that as a positive in my life. I've had many clients who are empaths who tell me it's a curse. Can we take it away? Can we stop it? I don't want this anymore. And I understand where they're coming from with that. I truly do, because I have experienced, as you can see, some pretty tremendous effects from being an empath. But I've worked really hard learning to understand myself, reading, learning from other people, other empaths, about how do I take care of myself as an empath? How do I deal with these emotions? And one of the most important things that I learned as an empath is that when I feel unsafe or unsettled or agitated in the presence of a certain person, that it's likely about them and not about me. I have learned how to check in with myself and ask, is there a reason why I feel like this? Is there something going on in my life that would make me feel this way? Or is this about them? And generally it is about them. I will know immediately if it's about me. If I actually have a situation in my life making me feel that way, that makes sense, right? But I've learned to be able to tell the difference. And I've learned a lot of skills over the years about how to take care of myself as an empath and about how to manage myself in moments like that. The things that I know now, had I had those skills in the third grade, I probably would have been able to learn my multiplication tables, because I would have been able to ground myself and protect myself and, use my skills to take care of me and to also take a step back and take a break from that energy. But at the time, as a kid, I had no idea, and so I was just right in the middle of it. So 5 years ago, my sister Katie pitched an idea to the Psychic Sisters, so me, Kara, and Rhonda, and she suggested that we develop a card deck and book about the skills that empaths need to manage their lives. We are all empaths. We are all different types of empaths and have been, managing that for all of our lives. And it's one thing that, really is cohesive for us, is that we kind of understand what it feels like to, feel like that all the time. It can be overwhelming and challenging. And so over the years, we have developed skills, learned from other people, learned from ourselves, learned from each other, the skills to manage ourselves as empaths. And from that came our project called Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move, Daily Care for Your Spirit. It's a card deck and there's a companion book. And it is something that has been about 5 years in the works, because that's how life rolls. I'm sure you all know. Sometimes you get started on something and then something else comes into play. I'll tell you what came into play for us, and that was our dad's death and illness. Really, kind of derailed us, and it's taken us a long time to get back to this project. But I'm really excited that it's here. I'm going to be sharing more about it on upcoming shows, and I'll be sharing readings from it. And so it is not an oracle deck. It is a deck that is meant to give yourself a prescription or a, kind of some guidance about, what do I do? How do I best take care of myself as an empath today or this week or in this period I'm struggling with? And so you can certainly use it to read for yourself in a particular situation, but it is not predictive. It is about, what do you need to do to take good care of you? So I do have a Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move reading for us that I'm going to share later on in the show, which is just, I asked, what do we need to know? All of us listening to this radio show today, what do we need to know about taking good care of ourselves in the next week? And so I'm going to share that with you in a few minutes. But first, I want to get to the Kindred Spirits or Energy Oracle card of the week and the stone of the week. And then we're going to do our meditation. Then we'll do the Ground Plus Protect and Move reading. And then I will get to your questions in the chat. And I see that there are some reading requests coming in the chat. Feel free to do that. I will have time for that later in the show. Today, I want to share with you my Kindred Spirits Energy Oracle reading for us. This is a little different because this is an Oracle deck, and this is my new deck. It will be available very soon. The books are already available, and the cards I'm just waiting for approval, and then they will be ready for us as well. So, but I do actually have a physical copy of them now, so I want to share. I'm going to post this in the chat room, and I'm going to show it on the video as well. I can't remember if I told you or not, but I am live on Facebook Live in the chat room if you want to watch the show. So today I'm going to be talking about Black Panther, which is one of the guide cards in the Ground Bless, Protect, and Move deck. Black Panther is one of my spirit guides. As you know, my kindred spirits are literally my kindred spirits. They are the energies that I interact with, that I use to help in sessions, in healing sessions, and in psychic readings. I use them to guide me for myself and for everybody else in my life. If you're my client or a friend or a family member, even, they come in for everyone. And Black Panther, she is my totem animal, actually, and her name is Jasmine. She has purple eyes, like amethyst colored eyes, and I've been able to see her out of the corner of my eye for, I'm going to say, at least 15 years. She's been around for me, and she is definitely my guardian and my protector. I feel nudged by her occasionally when I'm in a place of maybe not taking as good care of myself, or exposing myself to something that I shouldn't, or, not really thinking very much about my spiritual safety. So it's not so much about physical safety with Black Panther. It is about spiritual safety. It is also about deep emotional stuff and deep spiritual work that we do on ourselves. Black Panther always calls on us to go within, to go inside of ourselves and look at how are we doing physically, emotionally, spiritually, where are we at, and what do we have to continue to learn, not from the outside world, but from ourselves. There's a lot of truth seeking. It's personal truth seeking that happens with Black Panther. Now, the challenge with Black Panther, because there's always both sides of the coin, right? The challenge when Black Panther comes up, and so in Kindred Spirits, I give a primary message and a challenge, because it's important for us to look at it from both angles. Sometimes the primary message applies more to us right now. Sometimes the challenge does, and sometimes they both do in one way or another. So this is our message for this week, is to really consider the need for some spiritual protection. Are you in a position where maybe your personal beliefs are being attacked or discounted by someone else? Do you need to take a step back? And then this is a good week for an opportunity to go deep within yourself and really look at what is really true for you, because things change over time inside of us. Our beliefs change. Our needs spiritually change over time. It doesn't stay the same. And so this is a reminder to really go deep when it comes to that. The challenges with Black Panther are fear, because sometimes we get afraid, first of all, afraid of, whenever I say, well, we might need some spiritual protection, sometimes that brings up fear for people. It is never meant to bring up fear. It's simply to be aware, and to look a little bit at where are we at with our spiritual beliefs and the people around us, and are those being respected and supported? My spiritual beliefs are so very different from most of the people who live in the community I live in. So I'm careful about who I talk to and what I reveal about myself in my local community. Of course, I have a beautiful, wonderful local community of friends and clients and people that I've known for many, many years. However, outside of that, I'm pretty careful about what my beliefs are because I do need to protect myself spiritually. Now, the other challenges can be emotional avoidance because, sometimes we don't want to go deep. Sometimes we don't want to dig in to what is really true inside of us. I don't think there's anything bad in seeking truth inside of yourself. I think that's always good, but it can be a little bit scary. Maybe we're afraid of what we're going to find. Sometimes when we're struggling with ourselves and our self-esteem, we might struggle with, am I going to find that I'm actually a bad person inside? I don't think that's ever true, but I those fears are there. And then the other one is arrogance. We have to be careful because this is a really high vibrating energy. We don't want to become arrogant about our own spiritual beliefs and kind of decide that ours are more important than anyone else's. My spiritual beliefs are just as important as anyone else in my life, but they're not more important. I have to respect the differences. I have to respect what other people believe. It's okay for me to have respect for that. It's not okay for me to become arrogant about it and, push that on other people. So then the crystal that goes along with Black Panther, in Kindred Spirits, there's a crystal for every card. The crystal is hypersthene. And this, I'm going to hold hypersthene up on the video, and then I will be posting in the chat a postcard about hypersthene and the Black Panther card here in just a minute. And I'm going to talk about hypersthene then. But there's also a meditation on every card, and it's just a brief statement about something that you can use as a catalyst, as a jumping off point for meditating on this energy of Black Panther. And the meditation is this: Dear Black Panther, please protect me and guide me as I go deep into myself to find my truth. So, of course, you can call on the energy of a Black Panther guide to protect you and guide you and support you in seeking your own inner spiritual truth. So that's Black Panther. Raven in the chat says that Black Panther is one of her spirit helpers too. So that's cool. I love it. I know a lot of you are going to resonate with this. There are other guides in the deck as well, and I'm excited to be sharing this with you. It's so interesting to me, this experience of actually reading from my own cards for all of you is very new and really exciting. I would like to share a meditation with you before we go forward. As you know, we do that on the show every week. This meditation is my Morgan Le Fay meditation. And Morgan Le Fay is a goddess that I have a deep connection with. She is also in the deck. I don't have her card in front of me right now, but she has been a guide for me in seeking those deep spiritual mysteries. And so working with Black Panther and Morgan Le Fay both together has helped me very much in understanding myself, understanding my past as far as my previous lives, and really helping me to bring into this life knowledge and skill that I've developed in other lives. That has helped me very much as a healer and a psychic. So I want to share this meditation with you, and then we'll move forward with the rest of our topic. So this is Morgan Le Fay, Deep Spiritual Mysteries. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Allow your body to settle and your mind to go quiet. Excuse me. Call in the goddess Morgan Le Fay. Ask her to come to you and guide you deep into your heart where your mysteries reside. You can hold a piece of hypersthene for this meditation. You can hold any kind of a stone that helps you go into a deep spiritual place. Ask Morgan Le Fay to come to you and show you your true nature. Who have you been before this life? Now ask, what deep spiritual mysteries do you carry? And then ask, what do you need to know or remember to access the wisdom inside of you? Ask Morgan Le Fay to show you what you have learned in previous lives that you can carry into this one. Okay. I know this is a brief stay with Morgan Le Fay, and certainly you're going to want to take a long one later. But for now, thank her for her energy, connection, and support. And give gratitude for your connection to your own inner mysteries, to your information, your history. It is inside of you. And there are some opportunities for you to access that information. And now, when you're ready, take 3 deep breaths. And open your eyes. Okay, very good. I hope that meditation was helpful to you. I know that, meditations on radio are short. I'm working on um, I'm working on a lot of things right now, but I am working on some longer versions of some of my meditations like that one, because I think it needs to be longer in order to really give you the time to do the work that you need to do. And so on the radio, it's kind of more an example of how it is, how you can do that. But in a longer meditation, you can get a little further. And so I'm working on making some of those available from my website. They will have a small cost. These short ones are free. I'm going to have some available that are, we're talking like $2 or $3, just to help me out with my costs, to make some longer versions available, because I think that some of the meditations we could benefit from that. And that's part of my inspiration moving forward this year of expanding what I do. So I hope that meditation was helpful for you. The energy of Morgan Le Fay has been her energy has been a big teacher to me for a long time. I've had several experiences where I've experienced some past life memory while working with her that has helped me with the work that I do now in this lifetime, because I understand it in a way that I did not used to understand it. And that is that's some pretty fun stuff. So I look forward to sharing more of that with you. I have shared in the chat room a picture of the Black Panther card. I can't wait until I can actually share these cards with you, that you can get them in physical form. That's just, everything takes time. Some of it takes more time than others. The cards are actually done. I'm waiting for the printer's approval, which takes a couple of days, and then they will actually be available to you. So I'm really excited about that. I did also share a postcard about hypersthene. Hypersthene is the stone of the week, and it is a new one. You're going to find out. I'm going to be talking about some stones that I haven't talked about here on the radio before, because in developing Kindred Spirits, I threw some stones in there that I'm familiar with, but I haven't really taught about before. So hypersthene is the first of those. Hypersthene settles the mind. It is a great stone to help calm an overactive brain. So it's great for preparing for meditation, for preparing for sleep. Anytime you really want your mind to just shut it, this is a great stone to use. It also creates a sense of calm and safety that allows deep self-reflection and understanding. And so that's why I chose it for Black Panther, because Black Panther is the energy of protection, and then going deep within to understand ourselves on a deeper spiritual level, to understand ourselves on a deeper emotional level. So you can use the energy of Black Panther in combination with hypersthene to really explore yourself spiritually, and to maybe have some experiences learning about yourself in previous lifetimes, as I know many of you wonder about, and I certainly do as well. And I've had a lot of experiences over the years that have taught me so much about myself and about who I am and why I am who I am in this lifetime. So something definitely to guide you further along that path. Okay, so I promised also a Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move reading today. And this reading is meant for all of us empaths who maybe are feeling a little overdone this week in one way or another, maybe need a reminder about how to best take care of ourselves, because we do need that, right? We often do a better job of taking care of other people than we do ourselves, and so this is a good reminder to do that. So I'm going to post a picture in the chat room of the cards, but we're going to talk through it one card at a time. So the first card is the Elements card. This is the ground card. Now, when you're thinking about the elements and grounding, sometimes when the earth is shifting, when there are changes happening in the energy of the earth, if we feel like we're having trouble making a connection, this comes up a lot when there are natural disasters happening. If there have been earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and big storms, and the earth seems to be unsettled, sometimes grounding specifically to the earth is not enough for us. And so then we need to ground also to the elements. And so when you reach those roots out, and you send your roots down into the earth to make a strong connection, reach out a little tendril of energy to earth, air, fire, and water as well, because they are fundamental elements and energies on this planet that we cannot live without, that never go away, that exist here in a very solid way. So the energy of those elements is very grounding for us. And so when you reach out, sometimes if you feel like I've been trying to ground, I've been trying to connect and I can't, reach out also to the elements, earth, air, fire, and water as well. Earth obviously, but air, fire, and water as well, in order to make a really solid connection to the energy of the earth. So that's the first card. That's the ground card. The Bless card is the third eye. And that doesn't surprise me at all. I was kind of laughing when I pulled these, because I had already prepared that I was going to talk about Black Panther and hypersthene. And so I kind of knew we were looking at intuition and spiritual growth. And so the third eye card, when you want to, so let's talk about, how do you bless your third eye? How do you take good care of your third eye? So there are several things that you can do. The first part of taking good care of your third eye is to make a point to trust your intuition. Really trust it, listen to it, follow it. It's important to flex and validate that muscle as your intuition. So your third eye and your solar plexus are connected to each other. Because of that, they are connected. The more you trust yourself, the stronger your intuition becomes, because when you trust yourself, you trust your intuition. So that's it. That's one way to take good care of your third eye. Another way is to do some meditation with a stone. I'm going to see if I can grab one here. With a stone like a piece of amethyst, for example. I'm just going to show that on the video. I have a piece of amethyst here this is a piece of amethyst from Uruguay, my favorite country for amethyst. And it's flat. And so this is the stone that I use on my third eye. So I sometimes just do a little meditation where I lay down and I put my stone on my third eye, and I just connect with the energy of the stone and my third eye, and sort of let it guide me about where I need to go. But making an intentional connection with my third eye and bringing my awareness to the fact that I am intuitive, not just for other people, because that's really I do a lot of that with my intuition, but for myself as well. Sometimes I need a reminder to check in for me, and meditating with a piece of amethyst on my third eye is a great way to do that. So that's a good way to bless your third eye, is to meditate with a piece of amethyst. Protect. So the protect card today is Archangel Elohim. Archangel Elohim is one of my favorite archangels, and probably one of the lesser known archangels, but he is the archangel that protects from dark entity attachment or psychic attack or spiritual kinds of unsafe things. So Archangel Elohim's energy is red. When you ask for him to come to you, he puts you in a red ring of fire, protects you in this red ring of fire. I always think of the Johnny Cash song, I fell into a burning ring of fire. I don't know why that comes into my head when I think of Archangel Elohim. But when you're working on spiritual protection of yourself, sometimes you need that energy, don't you? We need the energy of Archangel Elohim to keep us safe. So if we feel like we're being attacked on a spiritual level, calling on Archangel Elohim to put us in a red ring of fire will help to protect that part of us. Okay, so next is the move card. This is cracking me up because it's new to me to be reading with my own cards and to see how great they come out in combination with what I'm talking about today. So the move card today is strength. And I love this. So when we're talking about the move card, it is about physical movement. It is about developing our physical bodies and health and taking good care of ourselves. But there's such a symbolic side to this as well, that when you strengthen your body, you strengthen who you are. That physical strength can also be emotional strength and spiritual strength. And so specifically working on strength, and that when you are, lifting your weights or doing whatever you're doing to work on strengthening your body, you can be going within to work on strengthening your emotional and spiritual self as well. And last is the boost card. So in Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move, we also have boost cards. These are cards that we recommend you use if you're really struggling and feeling down and feeling like you need some kind of a boost. You need something to pick you up when you're struggling. And this week's boost card is music. So music is a great tool for boosting your spirit. So build a playlist that inspires you and turn it up when you need a lift. You could also, in regards to today's reading and today's topic, you could also choose a playlist of music that makes you feel safe, that makes you feel connected to your spiritual self, you name it. But, I have several playlists that I build. I use Spotify, and I have a bunch of different playlists for different sort of emotional states and different things that I'm working on to be able to listen to that really support me. I listen to classical music when I write because it makes me really, really focused. And then I have other stuff that I love for different things. And so consider using music as a coping mechanism. Sometimes as empaths, we need something that helps us to shut out the world for a little while. We can't shut out the world forever, but we can take a break, can't we? We can shut things out for a while to give us a little bit of distance from the energy of things that are overwhelming to us. And music is certainly one of those things. So listening in your car or headphones or at home, can be a really positive way to have a little break from all of that. So that is our Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move reading for the week. I'm posting a picture of it in the chat along with the names of the cards. I will post a link also where you can get the cards if you are interested in getting those. They are now available, as is the paperback and the ebook. So they are all available to you if you would like to give them a try. They are really a lot of fun. Sorry, I'm typing and talking. Give me 1 second. I wanted to share this in the chat so that you remember what the reading was. Move is strength. Sorry, I'm just going to say them out loud since I'm typing them. Move is strength and boost is music. So remember that a reading like this is not so much an oracle or predictive reading as it is a a, a guide for how you take care of yourself this week. These are some things that will particularly resonate this week. If you're struggling with anything, if if you're feeling a little over exposed to emotions, or struggling with that, need for some spiritual protection. That is an interesting one for me, because what I do for a living and my beliefs are so different from a lot of the people that I live around, that I sometimes just hear things in passing that are like a really negative thing against like what I do for a living, for example. And, I will say too that I really don't care what anyone thinks about me or what I do. I love what I do and I love my life, and it's certainly my choice to do this, and it matters to me. But it can be a little off-putting to live around people that, I can't, I could, and sometimes I do. If people ask me what I do for a living, I say I'm a professional psychic. It is the reaction that is sometimes hard, and it is also what comes next, because some people, say some really nasty, disparaging things, or, imply that what I do is evil, or that I'm a fake, that all psychics are fakes, all that stuff is out there. And so I do have to protect myself spiritually on a very regular basis. So this card really resonates with me today, because I kind of see that in my life, that not everyone in my life actually knows what I do for a living, because I kind of pick and choose depending on who I feel like I can trust to talk to about these things. So something just to kind of think about, and some skills to use along those lines. Okay, let's see. I know I've got a bunch of questions in the chat. I'm just gonna refresh myself here on Facebook so that I'm sure I see everybody's comments. See. Oh, I'm going to put a link in the chat too. So if you just go to kristibrower.com and click on Oracle cards, you will find the Ground Bless Protect and Move cards there. You will find a link to my cards also, but it's not live yet because I'm still waiting. Although the books for my cards, the ebook and the physical paperback, are available at Amazon. So if that's something you're interested in, you can do that. I'll put this link in the chat, but if you just go to kristibrower.com, you will see the link to Oracle cards, and you can go right there and take a look. Share that in the chat really quickly, and then I'm going to get to some of your questions. I feel like I'm doing a lot of multitasking on the show today. I don't know if you guys are noticing that, but I sure am. Okay, let's see. Let's get to some questions. Katie says, hi, I found that bracelet I was looking for, and you were right. It was far away from me at the time. It showed up out of nowhere. Oh, Katie, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you got it back. It's so weird how stones go missing and come back to us. It's such a thing that I think that there's no way of denying that there is an energy or a spirit to those stones, because they're there. When they kind of leave and come back and stuff, it's almost like they have some kind of intention about them, don't we? I'm so glad you got them back. Maureen says, good morning, Kristi and 1-2 friends. Kristi, could I please request an energy clearing? Lots of family drama over the weekend, just feeling exhausted and hurt. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know that has kind of been a continuous challenge for you lately, hasn't it, Maureen? And that is not fun. So let's do a little clearing. I'm just going to take a look at what's going on. Oh boy. So you feel so heavy, and I feel there's a lot of energy in your head. I feel like there's a lot of thinking and worrying and kind of racing thoughts going on there. It's giving me a headache. So I'm suspecting that you've had one as well. So let's just lift some of that heaviness up off from you and clear that crown, clear all that excess thinking out. One of the things that I want to encourage you to do, Maureen, is to find some distractions. This is a situation that doesn't have an easy solution, and I wish that were not the case, but it is. And you know that as well as I do. But I feel like one thing that is really important for you is that you distract yourself with positive things, with things that you love, things that you want, things that are important to you, to get a step back from the negative things that are happening in your life. You need a break from them. So this week, definitely follow the Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move prescription. It will help you very much. Use music as distraction this week. Take some breaks from this as much as you can. Sometimes we try to think a problem to death, and it doesn't do us any good. So I want to encourage you to avoid that as much as you can, and step back from things just a little bit, and give yourself a little time to have some space from it. You don't have to think about it all the time. I did do some clearing that I think will help, and thank you for that question. Let's see. Angel Hawk says, can you see anything about boosting my metabolism? I'm struggling with this and feeling unmotivated and sluggish and frustrated. Any tips or insights? Angel Hawk, the first hit I have is that this has something to do with your thyroid. So I would encourage you to go to whatever medical practitioner you see, if you have not already done so, and have your thyroid looked at. Look at options if you want to look at medication, or there are lots of options as far as nutritional supplements as well. So, whether you go to a doctor or a naturopath, go see somebody and have that looked at, because it feels like it is a very physical issue. It is not an energy problem. It is a physical body problem. And I do feel like there's an issue with your thyroid. So go have that looked at. Okay. Let's see. Linda says, good morning, everyone. Glad I caught this because I was struggling with this last week. Went to a friend's business and so much negative energy that I wished I wasn't such an empath to pick these things up. Right? It can be really challenging, and you step into a situation and you're like, oh, I'm up to my neck in this and I didn't mean to get in this. I don't want to be in this, right? I get that, because I sometimes, you walk into a situation unknowingly that things are heavy. So Linda, let me just give you a recommendation. I have a meditation for empaths called Clear Your Bubble, and it's at my website, kristibrower.com. It is a great meditation for clearing up that energy. You go into a place, you feel like you're just a big sponge and you sucked it all up, and you walk home with it and I don't want any of this. I didn't mean for this to happen. One of the great things that you can do is do a little meditation like that clears away all that energy that is not yours and fills your bubble back up with your own energy. That's really key to being able to clear it when it happens. Because can we avoid it all the time? No, we totally can't. I don't care who you are. I've been working on this for 20 years. I can't avoid it. We can't. We get better skills about how to handle it and what to do with it, but it's not really possible to always avoid it. So try Clear Your Bubble on my website. It's a free meditation download, and see if you can maybe make some headway in clearing that energy when it happens. It's a great little exercise. It's only about 5 minutes long, and so it's a great way to work yourself over in the moment if you feel like you've picked up a bunch of stuff. Raven says, that had to be a living hell, being in that classroom day after day under those circumstances and not knowing why. It was. I was totally miserable. And the thing was, I wasn't in that classroom every day. It was, I can't remember. Gosh, it seems like third grade was forever ago now. But it was a couple of days a week that we would go to that classroom to work on math. And I just remember how miserable I was on those days. And I loved my teacher. I loved my third grade teacher. She was wonderful. But when I had to go in that other classroom, it was miserable. But when you're in the third grade and you don't know what's happening, how do you verbalize that? You tell your parents you don't like the teacher. Well, my mom and dad were pretty intuitive people themselves. And so they listened to my sisters and I when we didn't like an adult, but there wasn't a lot they could do about it. It was school, right? So I don't know. It was a hard experience, but I look back on it now and realize it's part of what made me who I am today. And so I'm glad that I experienced it, because it does help me understand kind of, some of the things that formed me as an empath. Katie says, I wish I could connect with my spirit guide. I asked its name, and the first name that came to my head was Michelle. Well, then, Katie, you need to go with that name. It generally is the first thing that comes to mind. Realize that, and this is one of the big parts of Kindred Spirits. We'll talk about this next week. That is an important side of this, is that these energies aren't like their people. They don't really look like we look, and they don't really have names like we have. That's a very human 3D brain need to be able to identify everything. We need a name, we need a gender, we need some physical characteristics, or it doesn't feel real to us, right? But in reality, those entities, they don't look like us. They don't have names like us. They just are. But they give us things that make it easier for us to connect to them. And so if your spirit guide says her name is Michelle, then you call on her by her name, because that is the energy she's given you to connect to her. So call on her by her name and ask for her help, ask for her guidance, and pay attention. Spirit guide communication is pretty subtle. And so it's not like you're going to hear a booming voice in your head most of the time. Occasionally those things happen, but most of the time it's more subtle. It's a feeling, it's a dream, it's some kind of guidance that is easily missed if we aren't paying attention. So ask for her help, and then pay very clear attention to the things that happen around you, the little synchronicities, the little guidances that happen here and there. So don't discount anything. Okay? So try to work with her, but it's okay to trust that if you heard a name, that's the right name. Okay? Let's see. Raven has a Black Panther as a spirit helper. Annika says Black Jaguar is one of my animal spirit guides. Yeah, and I think they're basically the same energy. Let's see. Marlene says, if you're doing readings, I'd love an energy read, boost, or suggestion as I prepare for the first show in 2018 this weekend. I've been feeling the need for protection. Hey, maybe you ought to, I hope you took to heart what I had to say about in the Ground Blessed Protected Move reading. Feeling a need for protection is a reminder that we do. And whenever I talk about protection, I get a little pushback that if you believe bad things will happen, then they will. And if you believe that dark things are out there, then they are. And, I don't think that that's true. I don't believe that we create those kinds of things in our heads. I know them to be real. I work with and clear things like that on a regular basis. And what I know is that staying connected to our intuition and how we feel about things really matters. So, Marlene, if you feel like you need protection, then you do. Okay? So there are lots of different ways to have protection, Bless a black stone and carry it with you. Wear a talisman around your neck that you've blessed. Call in Archangel Michael. Call in Archangel Elohim. Use the energy of a protective bubble around you. I've talked about the wall of bulletproof glass between you and someone else. Try all of those things. Anything that resonates with you, do it. But I feel like the first thing that we need to do for you is to stabilize your root chakra, because it feels a little unstable to me. So that's something I'm going to do right now. Marlene, is I'm going to stabilize your root, because we do feel unsafe when our root chakras are out of alignment. So I'm going to stabilize your root, put it back into place, and just ground you, connect you to the energy of the earth, give you that sense of safety inside of yourself, and then you can work on developing it on the outside. Okay? Good question. Let's see. Raven says, is hyperstein in the quartz family, or is it more like a metallic stone like pyrite or hematite? I can't tell from the picture, and I'm fascinated by new stones. Thanks, never mind, I googled it, lol. Okay, well, good. It is not a quartz, I don't think. It has a metallic sheen to it. It reminds me actually more of labradorite than it does pyrite or hematite. Some people call it black labradorite or velvet labradorite. It is actually not labradorite at all, but it has a similar flash to it. Let's see. Handy says, if you have time, can you do a clearing for me? I got into an argument with a friend because I felt she was taking advantage and she was not being fair, and I still feel a bit weird from it. You bet, Handy. Oh, one of those times when you stood up for yourself, huh? And standing up for ourselves is always good. As long as we recognize that the importance is that we validate ourselves. It's not that we get the reaction that we want from other people. But it does feel like sometimes that's what we really want, right? We want someone to say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I get it. And we don't always get that, do we? That's why I think some of us struggle to continue to stand up for ourselves the way that we need to, because we don't get that reaction. I want to just say, you've got an attachment and I'm going to pull that, but I also want to say, remember that the purpose of standing up for yourself is validating you. What the other person does with it is about them. So if you can stay focused on, I'm going to validate myself and say what's true for me, and then I'm going to let them do what they need to do with it. Because maybe we don't get the reaction we want, but if that's not your goal, you may be a little bit more comfortable with the outcome, okay? But you do have a throat chakra attachment. This is one of those thought form attachments that happens when people, they fire at us when they're angry or frustrated or irritated, or we have confronted them and maybe we've said something that they know to be true, but they don't necessarily want to admit is true. Then that can be a challenging experience, and sometimes they lash out. So I'm just going to pull that attachment, and I'm going to heal it and send it back to the person that it came from, and then just do a little healing on your throat. It's really key to clear the attachment because it allows you to move forward and not be stuck in the situation. When we have an attachment after a situation like that, it feels like it's still going on. Like we're keeping it going, or they're keeping it going, and we can't really have a break from that. So that I did clear that throat chakra attachment. So hopefully that will help a whole lot. Okay. Oh, Maureen says, thank you. And yes, I've had a wicked headache. The clearing definitely helped, and I will seek distraction. Thank you. Good. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Not that you had a headache, but I'm glad it's feeling better. That whooshing crown. When a crown chakra is really overactive, when I check in with it, I can hear a sound that sounds kind of like, have you ever driven past one of the like the stations where they have all of the electrical stuff for your city, the electrical transformers and stuff like that, that sort of kind of high-pitched whine, whooshy kind of sound that comes from those electrical stations? That's what the crown chakra sounds like when it's overactive in my head. So I hear this sound that I'm like, oh man, that's running way too fast for comfort, and it can be really miserable when your crown gets to running that quickly. So hopefully that's going to get a whole lot better for you. Okay, let's see. Sorry, I keep accidentally clicking out of what I'm trying to see here. Laura says that she would love an energy clearing. You bet, Laura. Let's take a look. See what you have going on here. Oh, it feels like throat chakra day. I've cleared that attachment from Handy, and now I'm really feeling something here in your throat as well, Laura. So it's just time I'm going to clear as much stagnant energy out of there as I can, but it is time to evaluate a little bit and ask yourself, what am I not saying that I need to say? What's getting hung up in here? This is emotional energy that needs expressed. Remember, our emotions are just energy that need expressed. We need to burn them off in some way, say how we feel, in some way we need to express them. So I feel like there's something that you're kind of holding back on that you need to speak up about and say, and that will ease up this energy and release it. So I clear whatever around it will go, and then the rest of it kind of has to be done by you. So I start the process and then you finish it. That's always the case in a throat clearing. So Laura, think about it a little bit, what's going on in your throat, and I think that you'll find that if you just say a little something, it doesn't have to be a big earth-shattering thing, but just say a little bit about how you're feeling in a particular situation, that it will get better, that you will feel better. So thank you very much for that question. Oh, Handy says that sounds about right. Thank you for the clearing. You are so welcome. Throat chakra attachments, kind of a common thing when we're speaking our truth. Well, we're coming right down to the end of the show. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for, letting me preview and premiere my cards, Kindred Spirits Energy Oracle and Ground Bless Protect and Move. And I will, next week on the show, my show is going to be all about my Kindred Spirits Energy Oracle. And I will be able to show you the cards on air and talk about them, and all, the whole thing will be available. And I'm so excited to share this with you. I can't even tell you. And I knew I wasn't quite going to be ready to share it this week, although I had to slip a little bit in there because I couldn't not say at least a few things. But I will definitely have more for you next Monday. It'll be a very special show. So I am out of time, but I want to say thank you so much for being here. You can hear me again on Wednesday morning with my brand new show, 1-2 Meditations. It is at 7 a.m. Pacific. I just host it. I live host it while I air a bunch of different guided imagery and instrumental meditations. And so one thing I want you to know is I take requests. And so if there is a guided imagery meditation that you love, that is a recorded, like professionally recorded file, somewhere, let me know what it is, the name of it and the artist, and if I can get it, I will play it for you on 1-2 Meditations. So you can message me here on Facebook, you can message me through my website, which is kristibrower.com, and request something if there's one that you love. I don't know about you, but I love all different kinds of guided imagery meditations, so I'm excited to share them with you. So join me there. I will be back again on Thursday with the Psychic Sisters, and next week with 1-2 News and my very special Kindred Spirits, where I share for the very first time, or debut, that's the word I'm looking for, my brand new cards, Kindred Spirits Energy Oracle. So don't miss that. Thanks for being here today, and as always, thanks for listening to 1-2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.